Hello knitters! Welcome back to the Braid and Tinker podcast. This is episode 6, in which I will talk endlessly about my adventures in Scotland, because I went to the Edinburgh Yarn Festival and boy was it amazing. Also, I remember from last year there were lots of podcasts from people going to the Edinburgh Yarn Festival. Therefore, I'm declaring this podcast a bagpipe-free zone. No bagpipes in this episode. So, hurrah. Yes, so last week was the Edinburgh Yarn Festival and I really wanted to go there. So me and my boyfriend Derek travelled there. He is also a knitter, so, you know, he also enjoyed himself. And I will talk a lot about our adventures there. We also did some other things in Scotland, but I will start with like a regular podcast. So let me just get some little like administration stuff out of the way. As you all may know or may not know, I also hand dye yarn sometimes, and I kind of put that on the back burner for a little bit because I had lots of stuff going on, but I'm planning to do a big shop update somewhere in April, so I'm ramping up production for that. So yeah, if you want to stay up to date about that, just follow me on Instagram, which is Melanie_knits. You can also follow me on Ravelry, where I'm Braid and Tinker. You can find a podcast for this group, which is the Braid and Tinker podcast group. And I'm also on Etsy. Sorry, that's braidandtinker.etsy.com. And apparently I've brought the Scottish flu back. Fantastic. I have like a cough, and it's because I've been standing outside in the cold, I think, in Edinburgh. Anyway, let's begin with FOs. Right before we left Edinburgh, I finished my Mercury socks. These are a lovely lace pattern. I don't have sock blockers yet, and I couldn't find any that I liked, so we'll just have to do with my hand. So this is a lovely lace pattern. You can find it for free on Ravelry, and I'll put links to that in the Ravelry group, so you can find that if you would like. It's very easy to remember the pattern, so you know, after you've done it a couple of times, you don't need to look at the pattern anymore. I was kind of debating not knitting the pattern at the back, but then I did it anyway because I thought it would look nicer. But yeah, the yarn is something I dyed myself. It's on a gold stellina base, so it's very, very sparkly. I really like these. I think they're very pretty. They still need to be blocked and have their ends woven in, so they'll probably be lying around a little bit longer, but very glad to have those finished. I finally finished my Mayfield mitts. They're both done. These were a lifesaver in Scotland because it got very cold, and I hadn't really thought it would be as cold as it was. So I was very, very grateful for these. Well, you've seen one of them finished in the previous episode, but this is both of them done. Some gripes I have about this pattern is that it's not really anything negative, like super negative. I just find them very long, and it's a bit irritating when you have your coat on and you're trying to sort of like jam these into your coat. Like next time, if I would knit these again, I'd probably like cut out a bit of the pattern. I also think this part is not really long enough, so I'm actually planning to remove some of the ribbing, put the stitches back on the needles, and knit a longer cuff, maybe even a double cuff that folds back down. I'm not sure yet, but I think that would be a little bit warmer on your fingers. Other than that, I'm really happy with these. I knit this with Jameson and Smith's, and it's been holding up very well. I cycle a lot because this is the Netherlands and I cycle a lot. And I always find that mittens and gloves tend to wear out on the palm quite quickly because you've got your hands on the handlebar. But this is pretty tough going yarn, and they still look fine. They do pill a little bit, but it's not anything crazy. So I do like these quite a lot. So those were my FOs, and I have some whips that I have been working on as well. I brought 2 projects with me to Scotland, and none of them got finished because I had nowhere near the time I thought I would be having working on them. We were really busy walking around town, you know, walking around the festival, walking around the town. Then we went on a Highland tour, walking around there. And then in the evenings, we were just so knackered. We would go to bed quite early because also we often had to get up quite early again the next day. So I didn't do as much knitting as I thought I would. But I always like having, some knitting with me, even if it's just for on the plane or stuff like that. I mean, at the airport, you're always waiting a long time for everything, waiting for check-in, waiting for this, waiting for that. The good thing is you can just bring your knitting and you can just, pop it out of your project bag, pop it back in, especially socks. They're so great in that regard. So I've been putting a lot of time in Derek's birthday socks. Derek's birthday is on Monday, and amongst some other things, I'm going to give him some socks because I quite like knitting. Oh, I'm stuck. Hang on. Not quite like knitting socks as a birthday present. I'm using some yarn from Fildar. It's their Folk 100 line, and let me see if I can quickly round up the tag. It might be here. I think it's the Bermuda colorway, but I'm not 100% sure. No, I think I've lost it. Anyway, it doesn't matter, because I'm not really sure you could get this anymore anyway, but it doesn't. Still a really nice sock yarn. So it's self-patterning, I would say. It's not self-striping per se, although it does have stripes, so maybe it's self-patterning / self-striping. It feels quite warm. It's quite a rusticy feeling yarn. It might even be considered scratchy, but I know Derek does not care about that. He really likes it if it's like grippy, woolly wool. That's what he likes, woolly wools. So I'm just doing a rib on the instep to make them super stretchy. And other than that, it's just a vanilla sock. And I usually knit toe up. So I've started doing some gusset increases already. But he knows I'm making these because it's almost impossible to knit in secret in this house, and I need him to put them on sometimes, so I know how much further I have to go before I can put the heel in. But yeah, I think these look good. So my other sock project is the Mountain Rain socks, which is a pattern by Salapalooza Knits, which just came out, I think, yeah, well, right before I went to Edinburgh anyway. And I'm knitting it out of Bird Street UK. Ooh, I think this, yeah, this is the Still Frozen colorway. I really, really like it. It has so many colors in it. It's got pinks and purples and blues and yellows and greens, lots of speckles. Yeah, I think it's really pretty. And it's knitting up really fun in the pattern. That's Little Progress Keeper. This is a Progress Keeper I got from Pink Pretties on Etsy. I'll put the link in the show notes. I think she lives in the Netherlands, and I think she's Dutch, but she might be British, but I'm not super sure. Yeah, so you get this kind of horseshoe lace pattern in this in these socks. I think it's really pretty. It will look better on your foot and on a blocker or something like that, but I don't have one, so oh well. So this I'm knitting from one ball, and one sock is coming from the outside and one sock is coming from the inside. This one just tends to have a little bit more darker speckles on one side of the foot, but I quite like it. I haven't got super far, but you know, I didn't have much time, and I only started like the night before we left for Edinburgh, so not too crazy. Am I working on anything else? Yes, because so last podcast I announced I wanted to do a knit along, and so I've started one for the May sweater by Andrea Mowry, and I haven't got far on it at all because I didn't take it with me to Scotland. So I just have some ribbing, or a hem, sorry, but it's going well. I mean, it is a worsted weight pattern, and I usually knit socks, so when you're doing something in worsted, it goes really fast. This is, oh, I never know how to pronounce the name, but the yarn is Rerum de Natura or something like that, in the Gilead line or weight, and then Gilead, and then the colorway is Aster, which I really like because it's like a grey purple, really muted color. It's really pretty. So I haven't got super far on that, but it doesn't matter because it's the May sweater, and it runs until the end of May, so I have loads of time for that. And if you want to join the knit along, you can just go to the Ravelry Group, and I'll put a link to the Ravelry Group in the description box down below in the YouTube page thing, box section, div. And there's already some people who signed up, but not many, so there's really high chances of winning a prize, because I'll be giving away some prizes for that, including yarn prizes, because I hand dye yarn, so obviously, you know, would be nice to get some yarn from that. Oh yes, I completely forgot. This is why it's so good to have notes. I'm knitting these on the Licker needles that are so extremely popular at the moment, because I wanted to try them out. I have a ton of Addies, I have some higher sharps, and I didn't have any needles in these sizes because you need quite, this is a 8mm needle, so that's US size 11, and I didn't have it, so I thought, oh, I'll just purchase some of the interchangeables from Licker, but then like not the whole set, but just the sizes that I need, and then I can try them out. And I really, really like the needles. I quite dislike the cord. I find it extremely stiff, and it seems to have a mind of its own. It goes everywhere it shouldn't be going. I'm not super sure on what to do with it. Maybe it'll loosen up over time, you know, and then I would be quite happy to purchase a whole set. But if this cord is how all their cords are and just kind of the way it's going to stay, yeah, I would not, I don't think I would buy a whole set of this. Anyway, I love the needles. They're these wooden, let me see, there we go, needles, and they have the sizes. Can you see? No, it won't focus. Anyway, it has the sizes printed on it quite nicely, and it's all clear and it's very pretty, and you know, for the sets, the packaging is lovely and the aesthetic is beautiful, but I just don't like the cord very much. So yeah, I'm really glad that I'm testing it out first, that I didn't like spend a lot of money on the set before, you know, because otherwise you have a set that you don't really like because you don't like the cords because you never tried it out. Cat. So before I went to Edinburgh, I did purchase some small things. So they're not really part of the Edinburgh stash acquisition. And one of these things was this bag. It's just a makeup bag from Primark, but I find it such a good size. So I have these socks in there, and I also have some of this yarn because I'm planning to knit the cablegram hat that was in Pom Pom magazine. I just printed that out. I scanned the pattern and printed it out because I don't want to carry the whole pattern with me. So I got that, and I got a bunch more of these lotion bars from the handmade soap store on Etsy. Cat is going crazy. Hello. Come on then. Yeah, they're just these lotion bars, and I put them in, they're in a tin, and I put them in my knitting bag because they're really good to keep your hands soft and sort of, you know, not dry when you're knitting. And they have really great smells, but I find that my older one smells a bit more, has like stronger sort of cedar smells, and these new ones that I got are a bit more lemony smell. So I guess the lemon scent is a bit higher in these, which is it's not bad, and it doesn't smell not nice. It's just that I think I preferred the older one I had, but oh well. That's that. And I had some more because I did get a interchangeable circular set from Higher. These are the Higher steels, so they're not as sharp as the Higher sharp ones, but they still have quite a strong point. The cat is behind my phone now. I'm not sure what she's trying to do, but so if the camera falls down, it's because of the cat. Yeah, so these points are still quite sharp, even though they're not as sharp as the highest sharps. But these range from 2.75 millimeters, so that's US 2 to US 8. So this is 5mm, which is a good range. And there's some space for more needles if you want to. All the thingamajigs are in the back pocket, which is quite good. It's got these like rubber grips, so you can quite easily put these on. I haven't used these yet for anything, but yeah, I quite liked a set with some smaller needles. I don't need them any smaller than this because I knit my socks on the higher sharps 2.25. I think that's US size 1 or 0. I think it's 0. And I have 2 of those. I don't think I need any more because I would just be casting on all the socks, never finishing anything. But other than that, yeah, so there's the cables are in there, and then the socks, needles, and then there's another little zipper pouch on top. I don't get this flap because this doesn't seem to be doing anything. This would never prevent these needles from popping out. Nui, what are you doing? She's rubbing her head against my phone. I quite dislike the look of this bag, but that doesn't matter because I have a sewing machine, so I, you know, whenever I have time, I can just make a new bag for this. But yeah, haven't used it yet, but I'm still really pleased because I really like the higher needles, and I really like their cables because they're just like rubbery, bendy. I just like knitting with them. And this is not a very expensive. I mean, they come in a range of prices, which is ridiculous. Everybody just seems to stick on whatever. But I bought these on Amazon, and they're quite cheap in sort of like the circular interchangeable set scope of the word, I would say. I had some. Ooh, I forgot. I had some yarn for this shawl. I had bought some backups because I was worried. This is the Rebel shawl by Knit Graffiti, and at a certain point I was worried that I didn't have enough yarn. So I went back to my local yarn shop and purchased more yarn. In the end, I didn't need it, so I went back and I exchanged it for the same yarn. This is still Walk Collection Cottage Merino, but these are different colours. I'm not sure what this is going to be yet, but I think it's going to be a brioche cowl because I do like brioche. But I might not want to make a whole shawl out of it. I think a cowl will be nice, and it's nice something to like slip over your head and take off, and so that will be quite easy. These colours are Romance and Twister. I think they're quite pretty, and they're a bit unusual pairing, but I think in a brioche they would look really good together. So that's a small tip. If you're not sure that you're going to use the yarn that you're buying, don't cake it up and keep the receipt, because then usually you can just exchange it for something else. And when I was in the shop, I also bought this. It's a sock yarn from Schoppel, which is German. This is the Crazy Zauberball. I just love this like green pink combination. I think it's like one of my new things. So yeah, I think this will be very interesting to knit up. Apparently these don't, sometimes you can cake up yarn that is self-striping, and you can find two ends that start at a similar point and make two balls out of it. And then when you knit the socks, you just get two socks where the stripes are equal. You'll never apparently be able to find that spot in these. These will just be two completely different looking socks in the same yarn, of course. But I don't really mind that. I'm not that obsessed about stripes. So this was all pre-Edinburgh. I think I have all of those. Yeah. Yes. I need a little sip of my tea, because now we get to the Edinburgh part of this podcast. As you may have noticed, still no bagpipes. It's not that I hate bagpipes, it's just that last year I got crazy from every podcast having bagpipes in them. So, Edinburgh Yarn Festival, it was fantastic. Derek and I went there on Thursday, and we had both booked classes. Derek had a class in the morning. It was called Bust Your Stash, and it was about knitting things but not having the right yarn for it, but then knitting it with a different weight or whatever, something that was not particularly or maybe suited for it, but then knitting it with it anyway. And it was by, I don't remember his name, but I think he's known as the Prince of Knitting in Denmark. And we've actually seen a television show that I had found on YouTube, where in the UK they have this program called, you have like Great British Bake Off and the Sewing Bee, and it's a contest where people have to sew these outfits in a set number of hours. So in Denmark they have the same thing, but for knitting. And they have like a set number of hours. They give people an assignment or a theme or something, and then people have to knit like crazy to design something. And one of the hosts was this guy, so that was quite interesting, and Derek really enjoyed that class. I had a class by Felicity Ford, and it was called The Colours of Edinburgh, and it was pretty professional, I thought. I have all these handouts and instructions and things, and it was really fun. What she had done was, next, sort of like in Edinburgh, you have this rock thing called Arthur's Seat, and you can actually, if you're in the city, you can just walk over there and then start climbing it. And we did that actually on Friday afternoon, but it started to become very, very windy, and I think we were about 95% up, and I wanted to go down because I don't really like heights, and I keep forgetting that. But so the class was, she had all these pictures of Arthur's Seat. They're all on a table, and you had to pick one of the pictures that you really liked, and then we had to make a swatch, and she had all these yarns from Jameson and Smith's, and you could like pick whatever colour you wanted, and we had graph paper, and you could like look at your photo and see if you could find some patterning or something that influenced you from that photo, and then you put that into your swatch. And this is my little swatch. It's a bit funny, but I quite like the top bit. That's where I kind of got into it. This looks a bit silly, I think, but she had a really interesting method to make swatches, or at least to write down the pattern and then change the colours in your swatch. And I really did learn quite a bit about making swatches in that class. So that was really fun. And it was also fun because you had just like all these different ladies from all over the world sitting there together at the table doing this class. I thought it was brilliant. And so Felicity Ford, she's like Miss Jameson and Smith apparently, because she could like, somebody would hold up a colour and she'd be like, oh, you need number 566 or something like that. And it was amazing. And yeah, I think for Jameson and Smith it's really hard because they don't have like fun names for their colorways. They just have numbers. So for me it's pretty unrelatable, but she just kind of knew all of them. So I thought it was quite clever. And it was a really fun class. And at the end of the class I took a picture together with her, and I'll insert it here. And hello Nui, Kat's coming to say hello again. I think she just wants to be on YouTube. She wants to be famous celebrity cat. Yeah, so Derek and I both did a class, and then I sort of went through the marketplace in the morning and he went through the marketplace in the afternoon, and then we kind of switched. And so I bought quite lots of stuff. I think I'll start with if I can remember in order how I bought this, I'll do that. So one of the, this is by the way my trick, because we only had hand luggage going from Amsterdam to London, but this is my trick to get as much yarn in your hand luggage suitcase as possible. Bring these big IKEA, I think they're the 6-litre bags, and you stuff all your yarn in, and then you squeeze out all the air and seal them. And because they're double sealed, you have like really flat packs. My first stop was at Mothy and the Squid, who is Gillian, and I think she's a Scottish dyer. And I've purchased yarn from her before on Etsy, and I just love her colours. This is one of my favourites. It's so bright. It's crazy. This is her Rosy Maple Moth colourway. I just love this. This is a Blueface Leicester nylon sock. It's so pretty. I really love her speckles. Some people do, I also do that, sort of like speckles in one spot, and it disperses over the yarn, but she has this lovely way of, she has quite even speckles throughout the yarn. I think it's really special. This one is Meadow Bouquet. So I'm kind of regretting not buying more from her, but I can always buy more if I need to. I think she's increasing her prices a little bit in April. So if you want to sort of make use of her old prices, you can go to her website, which is mothyandthesquid.com. I mean, look at this. These would be socks for me. After that, I went to La Bien-Aimée, or La Bien-Aimée, or whatever. As did most people, I think. I'm really warm, actually. Oof. There we go. And I bought this little set. I think I'm going to knit the Candy Crush pattern in this, because I think that's a shawl that requires 3 skeins of fingering weight, but you know, still up in the air, could be anything. this color is called Tangiopeia, which is really pretty. This is Peanut Butter and Jelly. No, it's not going to focus. Doesn't matter. Peanut Butter and Jelly. And Le Petit Nuage. And I also had to get one of her bags. So I did. I didn't get a yellow fringe field bag because I have two already, so it's no point. I really like this combo. Put that in there. Where did I go next? Oh yes, of course. So I went to my super favourite walk collection. I got these two, which go really well together. Look at that. I don't have a project planned for this yet, but I think they'll look really nice. I really like this. Hers is, the Cottage Merino is a heavier single ply. It's very pretty. This is Nomad. And this one is Art Nouveau. It's so soft. It's ridiculous almost. Oh, it smells so good. And I don't think it was on that day, but I got some tuku wool. I don't know. It doesn't really say which colour this is. Doesn't matter. I'm planning to make some house socks out of these. So I'll just knit some socks and then put felt at the bottom and sew it up so that I don't wear them out as quickly. So they're like house slippers. Really like this colour. Then there's more. Okay, so this is a warning. If my sister Stephanie, hi Steph, if you're watching, please look away because at a certain point some of your presents will be paraded around and you may not want to see them yet. So just click ahead to after the yarn bit. I got this at the Blacker Yarns stand. It's Blacker Yarns Lyonesse, which is a wool with linen blend, and this is the serpentine colour. So, and I got a whole bag. Because my plan is to make the Mount Pleasant tee by Pip and Pin, I think, because it's a tee, so it has short sleeves, and I'm thinking that with linen it will be less warm, so I could get away with wearing it throughout the summer quite a bit, is the plan. So we'll see what happens. So then I went to the Skein Queen stand and I got this mini set. And this is a present for my sister. But she doesn't know that yet, so don't tell her. But look at these colours. She calls them little wrigglers, and it is true, they do wiggle a bit. Look at this one. Is that amazing? All that colour. I love it. So yeah, so Derek is more, was that all? There also went to this Sue Stratford stand, and I got the Yui oh, here it is. I also went to Sue Stratford stand, and I got this little kit to make a dragon and a mini dragon in this colour. I think it's so cute. Look at that. And I'm going to make that for my son. And it was all in a nice box, but I had to throw out the box because it wouldn't fit in my suitcase otherwise. And then I also got this little baggie as like a little notions bag. And I love this because it's so, I don't know, I just love the idea of knitting and camping. If anybody would like to do like a little knitting camp along in the Netherlands, I would sign up yesterday, because that would be my idea of heaven. But the bag is from Danica Studio, and I have no idea at which stand I bought this, but anyway, isn't that adorable? I love this fabric, so cute. And then at the Sue Stratford booth, I also got some of her pins, the knitting and gin pin. These ones. It's just never going to focus. And the Survival of the Knittist pin. I thought those were cute. And there are more pins, but I didn't get them at the festival, so they'll be coming a bit later. I, at some point, came to this stand. I don't know how to pronounce this properly, so I won't. But this lady had lots of beautiful bracelets with a magnetic clasp with stitch markers on them. So you could have them as a bracelet, and then when you need a stitch marker, you can like quickly take your bracelet off, take a stitch marker off and put it back. And they were beautiful and not very expensive, I thought. But of course, I have meat man hands, so they didn't really fit me, which was a shame. So, but she said she might have some bigger sizes later on this year, maybe. So I'll just wait for that. In the meantime, I got some of her stitch markers, and they're these hexagons. I thought they were so cute, so I got those. So Derek also did a bunch of shopping, and Derek has a very different aesthetic than I have. Derek likes like wool, like yarny wool. So one of his first stops was at Daughter of a Shepherd, and he bought a ton of stuff. I think he got a sweater's worth, and I don't think it was this one, but this is Broom, and it's 50% Hebridean, 25% Zwartbles, and 25% Exmoor Blueface. And it's so beautiful. And this yarn, It smells so good. It smells like you're rubbing your face in a sheep. It's so good. So he convinced, like after he got this, next day we went back because I also had to buy some of this. This is the DK white, and it's a combo of Hebridean and Zwartbles. Oh, it smells so good. And there's a Dutch designer called Puk Vossen, and she has a shawl pattern called Station Zwaan, which is her sort of homage to the new train station in Rotterdam, which kind of looks like a swan, I guess. And I'm thinking about knitting one of those with this because, oh my god, it smells so good. I just want to lie in that all day. You like that smell too, don't you, Nui? Anyway, I'll continue with Derek's yarn. He got this from EYF wool. It is Canach, and it is... it doesn't say. Scottish Merino. But it's really spongy, and it kind of reminds me of Brooklyn Tweed Shelter. It's got that same kind of speckled nubbiness and sponginess, so kind of looks like that. Oh, of course, Derek got a bag from Pink Hazel. I think after 2 days they didn't have many bags left, but it's really nice for putting DPNs in. And Derek has a ton of DPNs, so this was really good for him. God, he bought so much. Oh, here we go. Oh, this is the Prince of Knitting from Denmark. His name is Vithart. He looks a bit angry in this picture, but in real life he was quite friendly, I think. Oh, hang on. So there's some Tuku sock wool that Derek got, and then he got some more Tuku wool. Oh, it's also sock in a green colour. He got some at John Arbon. He did better than I did. This is a DK Exmoor Zwartbles. Also smells good. This is from Whistlebear, a 4-ply. What does it say? A blend of Romney Marsh and Romney Cheviot bread, and reared in the Cheviot Hills. And the colourway is granite. So really nice. And I think that the rest of it is just his daughter of a shepherd. Yeah. Oh, and he's got some of the Merchant and Mills bulb pins. So this whole bag is Daughter of a Shepherd. And then he got the book as well. which is really great. It has different patterns by different designers. It's a whole bunch of them, and it has mittens, hats, shawls, scarves, sweaters. It's really, really very pretty. Also smells really good. So there we go. So I was actually also looking for some self-striping yarn because I wanted to do the latest pattern by the New Leaf podcast, Carmen. She has the striped and stranded sock pattern, which is you use a self-striping yarn and then you pattern in each stripe with a Scandinavian type of stripe pattern. And I was looking everywhere. I could not find it at the festival grounds. I guess stranded yarn or self-striping yarn is just not in this year, or I don't know. So I was a bit sad, but I thought, oh well, it doesn't matter. I can just order some online. And then on Friday we went to the festival, because what we did, so on Thursday we had our classes and then we shopped, and then on Friday we came back, and we're both kind of the same type of people in that we know what we want, and then we just quickly went to buy the last pieces of things that we missed the first day, and then after an hour and a half we were like, we bought everything we wanted. We don't really want to stay much longer because we'll just keep buying and buying, and you know, we've already bought quite a lot and a lot of it is planned, and yeah, you know, why stick around much longer? And so we just decided, let's just, you know, go have lunch in Edinburgh and look at the city. So we did that. We had lunch and I said, oh, let's go to John Lewis because it's a really nice department store, and we don't have that one in the Netherlands. So we went to John Lewis and I saw that they have a craft section, and I just thought, oh, come on, let's have a look for a laugh, because it's a craft section in a department store, can't be great. And lo and behold, they have West Yorkshire spinners self-striping yarn. So I got those, and this is actually the one that Carmen is using for her own stripes and stranded socks. I'm going to use a different one for the contrasting color. I think I'm just going to use a white, but yeah, and I bought this because I wanted to make some rainbow socks for my son, and I think this is going to be a super fun color for him. So I'm just going to pop these back. And so after we went to John Lewis, we decided to climb up Arthur's Seat. Sorry. And so that was really nice. But it just got super windy and it started to rain a little bit just as we got almost to the top. So we didn't go, like, I think we got to 95% and then we went back down. And then the next day, on Saturday, we had to get up really early because we were going to do a Highland tour, and it was a guided tour with, like, on a bus with, I think it was 11 other people, small group, and it was really, really fun. So you sit in a bus and it has like big windows. It's one of those small people movers, and they had comfortable seats, and the bus driver is also your tour guide, and he has like a little microphone, very Janet Jackson, and he is talking, and then you can just look out the window, and sometimes they get you off the bus and you can take pictures and things. walk around some things. And so I think we've seen most of Scotland because it was a 2-day tour. We went all the way from Edinburgh up to, yeah, there's like a fault line almost through Scotland, and you can, it's like this sort of waterway that if you have a boat you can cross through, and then you can go all the way up to Inverness. And then we spent the night in Inverness, and then we went back down through the centre, and then we on Sunday did a distillery tour from the Blair Athol whiskey, which was really great. And we had a little tour there as well. Our tour guide there was Liam, and he looked like such a young kid, but he was actually super knowledgeable about whiskey, and it was really, really fun. And yeah, then we got back home and we were just exhausted. We were so tired. Well, not back home, we got back to Edinburgh. And then on Monday we had tickets to go up into Edinburgh Castle, and we again had an amazing tour guide there. They did like a tour of the outside of the castle, and then you can go in the castle itself. And we were there at 1 o'clock, and they do like the 1 o'clock gun or 1 o'clock cannon, something like that anyway. And so I have some footage of that as well. And what else did we do? I think we just ate a lot of food. We had fish and chips a couple of times. Derek was really good. He had haggis a couple of times and he really liked it. I just didn't want to touch it, so I didn't have any. And let's see. Oh yes, and then on Tuesday in the morning we had slow breakfast. We kind of went out for coffee. We went to the botanical gardens, which was nice because it was finally warming up a bit, because on Saturday and Sunday it was freezing. And remember, we were doing the Highland tour, so we were quite high up. I was so unhappy with the cold. These are times that I am so happy to be a knitter, because I have warm socks, warm mittens, a warm hat, a warm shawl. Oh, I just thought it was terrible. It was so cold. Derek thought it was cold, and he's from Canada, and I think he's used to it. I enjoy cold weather much less than he does, and he even thought it was very cold. So just to prove how extremely cold it was. And it was also very windy. It was not just the temperature. The temperature was like not even that low. It's just very windy. And of course we were on a bus, so we were like getting out of the bus, getting in the bus, and then you had warmed up, and then you had to get out of the bus again and getting back in the bus. And at a certain point you just get so cold, like it just chill in your bones, that you don't warm up anymore. So when on Tuesday the sun started getting out, we were both very excited, because it was it's nice weather, nice time for a little walk outside. Had some more coffee, and then we had went to the airport because we were already flying back to Amsterdam, which was yesterday evening. So we flew with KLM, and I have to say this was a very pleasant flying experience. We had upgraded our seats to have a bit more leg room. We are both quite tall, so it's not a long flight to Edinburgh and back at all. It's from Edinburgh to Amsterdam, it was about 1 hour and 10 minutes. It's a very short flight, but if you can get that little bit of leg room extra, it's just perfect. It's nice. It was, people were friendly. You get a little drink, you get a sandwich. I was doing some knitting. We were eating cream eggs because it's almost Easter. So it was cream egg season in the UK. You don't have those here, so we loaded up. And yeah, so when we were back. So I think, yeah, that was the end of this week. I don't think I'll be doing a lot of yarn purchases in the very near future. I need to knit through a bit of my stash, which is, you know, fine, because I have a lovely stash and I love and enjoy my stash very, very much. Sometimes I just forget what I have, so I needed to get a better way of organizing that. And I think when we finish the craft room upstairs, it'll be a bit better, and I can put some clear boxes on some shelves. That's my plan. So to protect the yarn, but so that I can still see what I have, because sometimes you're just opening a drawer and it's like, oh, I forgot I had that. I really like that. It happens. So anyway, just to round things up, I had some FOs, my Mayfield mitts, my Mercury socks are done. I'm working on my Mountain Rain socks by Salapalooza Knits. I can really recommend that pattern because it's very pretty. I'm working on birthday socks for Derek, and I'm working on my May sweater. It's gonna be May. The May knit along, and if you want to join the knit along, please go to the Ravelry group and announce your participation, and there will be prizes, so hurrah. I had some stash acquisition before Edinburgh Yarn Festival, lots of stash acquisition during the Edinburgh Yarn Festival, and lots of other fun in Edinburgh and Scotland. After that, I can definitely, if you're looking for like a city holiday destination, I can totally recommend Edinburgh. Very, very nice city. It's like a less busy version of London. I like less busy versions of big cities. This is why I live in Haarlem, which is a less busy version of Amsterdam. It has most of the nice things, a lot less of the lot less nice things. Does that make sense? It does to me. Okay. Yes, so all of those things. I hope to see you all again next time at episode 7. This is going so fast. How is this possible? In the meantime, catch up with whatever I'm doing on Instagram at Melanie_knits. Or check out my Ravelry project page. My name is Braid and Tinker on Ravelry. And see you again next time. Bye!